Good evening, everyone. I'm Shamini. This is Baraquiel, and it is a joy to be here together with all of you again. So, we'll read today from Rays of the One Light, today's reading. The topic is Perfection is Self-Transcendence. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. We begin this week with a passage from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 5. Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. If ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the tax collectors the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even pagans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. This teaching is a continuation of last week's lesson. To love all equally is possible only by seeing God everywhere, in others as well as in oneself. See whatever comes to you unasked for as a manifestation of His will. Be grateful for the pains you experience, for they are healing strokes of His love. Sometimes healing is effected only by strong measures, but His love for you is manifested in the very attempt to heal. Strive always to be impersonal, as though whatever happens to you were happening to someone else. Persecution gives us the supreme opportunity to deny the thought, this is happening to me, and to affirm our inner freedom from the thought of ego. Don't allow the negative perceptions of others to become your own self-definition. Seek God. This is the true goal of life, though how difficult to climb to in the midst of hatred, spite, and persecution. The Bhagavad Gita tells us in the 7th chapter, out of thousands, one strives for spiritual attainment, and out of many blessed true seekers who strive assiduously to reach me, one perhaps perceives me as I am. O truth seeker, be one among all those thousands who seeks the supreme goal. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Thank you, Shamini, and good evening once again. And our topic for today is that self-transcendence. And it's very nice that Swamiji has put it in this chapter as in the way of loving as well. Because we all know that to love, more usually than not, you need to go outside of yourself. Because usually you need an object or somebody, something to shower your love to. And that is a very great way, actually, to forget ourselves. And in this, of course, he's telling us, love those who hate you, love those who talk bad about you, which is not the traditional teaching that people in the world will tell you usually. Usually they will tell you to just get even with them whenever you can, or many other horrible things, really. And it's not often, and it takes a lot of courage to love those and forget about love, just to stand those who may be talking bad against you, or they may even criticize you this much. We get affected so much by every little thing that is very surprising sometimes. Sometimes you may drop somebody's chai and they may get upset at you just for such little things. Anyway, why are you laughing? Anyway, but now he's talking here about being able to love all those. He's talking about the pagans, the tax collectors. Of course, we don't need to pay attention to that in the sense that he's telling, if you love those who love you, you are like just anybody else, like any worldly person, really. Anyone who is seeking for their own fulfillment will naturally like those who praise them. Like, yes, of course I like you. You have, giving me money, or you have done this for me, or those for that. So he's telling us not to be like that, not to be like those people. That because even they can do that, so there is no virtue in that. That the true virtue is really to be able to love those who don't love us. That even if they don't love us, it doesn't mean we should not love them. And it's a very difficult lesson in life that we all have to learn. And this whole topic of relationships, human relationships, friendships, anything, is so interesting for me. Because isn't it true that out of all things in this world, apart from God, of course, and spiritual fulfillment, people are the ones that give us the greatest happiness, and also the ones that give us the greatest sorrow. And if you look at it even more, it is usually those who we love the most that also will give us the greatest sorrow. Maybe because we are too attached to them, maybe because any little thing that they do to us, we take it as a betrayer, or we take it, oh no, that person had to do it. Him who I love so much had to do that to me. And somehow we feel it much more. And as he's saying here, first of all, of course, usually it is our ego who gets hurt, but it is not a bad thing to get hurt. Because for example, it is very good that we express love to everybody in whatever capacity we can. At the beginning it will be very emotional love, but even that is better than not expressing love at all. That we only wait to have God's perfect love in order to express love, we are going to be waiting a very, very, very long time. And we're going to be like, with everybody, and that it doesn't work. That you will learn also through loving with human love, just because you get hurt by others, what true love is not, and what true love is. That you will see that when you open your heart, lots of things may happen to you. A lot of people may try to take advantage of you. Many times you will give your love in one direction and it will not be returned. And you say, oh, what do I do now? And you may suffer in return. But as it says in this reading, take those as blessings. Take those as Divine Mother healing strokes. Because if you look at it, it is really the chance that you have to learn to love perfectly. I know that it happened in my life, that I've been emotional through my life. And it has happened to me that I've come to a situation that, for example, a very dear friend has to live for forever, let's say. And, you become very emotional, you become very sad, you suffer. And if you are not strong enough, in time, passively, it will go away and you will feel fine. Time is one of the best healers, they say. But what happens then, if you just do that, you will see the exact same situation will come back to you. But then you had to use those lessons that you have learned from before. Oh, this was very painful. I didn't like this. Let me try something else. Instead of waiting passively for it to go away, let me see what else can I do. And you start learning to see everything that comes to you also as an opportunity to let go, an opportunity to grow. And those things are very important. And as long as we don't open our hearts, they will not come to us. So that is just how to even love people in a better way. Is a very important lesson, and it's a very difficult lesson, maybe one of the most difficult in life. But we all must go through it. However, us who meditate, we have a great advantage because, first of all, we learn to control our reactions, of course. But also, the second part of this, that really we cannot perfectly love anybody until we find that perfect love of God. And with that love of God, that we're able to see God in everyone, then we can love them perfectly in an impersonal way. And that only we can really do through meditation. But even then, through all these human sufferings, we can learn to love God as well. And then we can learn to see the good in everything that comes to us in that way. So that is also what the Gita and what this reading of the Bible, be ye therefore perfect, just as your Father who is in heaven is perfect. Love God with all your heart. And I want to tell a little story. We, as many of you know, Shamini and I, this weekend we had 2 workshops with children and adults, but it was mostly children. It was music and art. And it was very, very delightful, actually. And we told a story that many of you may know. It's a very famous story called The Giving Tree. Do you know that story? It's a very beautiful story. I want to tell it anyway. And it's the story of a tree and a boy. And this was an apple tree that he was very happy all the time because this boy would come and play with him, meaning he will swing on his branches, he will climb the tree, he will eat the apples, he will rest on the shade of the tree. And the tree was very satisfied. The boy also was very happy in doing this. But then as years pass, boys are not boys forever. At some point they become teenagers, and we all know how teenagers can be. We all have been there. And the boy was gone for a long time, and the tree was alone. And at some point, the boy comes back, and the tree becomes very, very happy, and says, come, swing in my branches and climb my trunk, just as you used to do all the time. And the little teenager says, I don't do those things anymore. I'm grown up now. I don't play with trees. And the boy said, I'm not happy. You know what I really want is money so I can buy things. Do you have any money to give me? And the tree said, well, I don't have money. But maybe you can do this. Maybe you can take my apples and sell them in the market, and then you will have some money, and then you can be happy buying your things. So the boy climbs up the tree, gets all the apples, and he goes and sells them in the market to be happy. And the tree was very, very happy to be able to help his friend. From very long time ago that he had not seen him. And then again, years go by. The boy never came back to the tree. At some point, he comes back. And the tree again is overjoyed to see his old friend return to him one more time. And said, come, little boy. Still calls him a boy. Come and climb my trunk. Play with me again as you used to do. Be with me. I don't do that. I'm a young man now. He was a young man. All I want now, really, is a wife and children and a house to keep me warm. Do you have a house for me that I can, so I can have a family? I say, oh no, I don't have houses. But what you can do is you can take my branches and make a house for yourself. And so the boy, and then you can be happy. And the boy gets all the branches, and he goes and makes a house to be happy. And the tree again was very happy to be able to help his friend, but again, for many years he didn't come back. Until finally the boy came back. He was a middle-aged man now, and the tree, you can imagine, he was, feeling so much joy and happiness to his friend again after so many years, and say, come, play with me, stay with me, we'll have fun together. And I said, no, I can't. Life is such a disappointment. I just want to go in a boat and sail away, to find my peace and be happy. Do you have a boat? And the tree said, no, I don't have a boat. But maybe you can just cut my trunk and make a boat. And in that way you can be happy. And so the man cuts the tree and leaves a little stump and makes a boat and sails away. But the tree was very happy to be able to help his friend again. And the boy sails away for a long time until at some point a very old man with a cane comes to the tree. But the tree recognized him as his old friend that now was an old man. And said, so happy to see you, but I'm afraid I don't have any apples to give you anymore. And the man said, it's okay. I don't even have any teeth left to eat, so I don't eat apples anymore. I said, I'm sorry you cannot climb my trunk or swing on my branches. I'm too old for those things. I can barely move without my little cane. I say, but what can I do to make you happy? And the man says, these days I don't require much. I just want to sit somewhere quietly and, just be. And the little stump, with all his strength, tries to straighten himself up. I say, well, an old stump is exactly what you need to sit down. Come, sit with me. And of course, the old man just sits with the tree, and then they are both happy. And that, to me, is a very moving story. And there are many lessons to learn from this story. Now, if we put it in human terms, it's very touching, but it's also a little unpractical sometimes, because here you have this tree that gave everything to try to make this boy happy, and just at the end, perhaps he found his happiness just by being there and enjoying, finally being able to enjoy himself. But also, if you think it in another way, that's exactly how we have to be with God. That wherever we have, whatever little bit we have, whatever talent we have, whatever abilities we have, everything we have to give to God and be very happy about it. And if He asks of us more, we are willing to give it, and we are very happy in the giving. And then the story works wonderfully. Because if you think, Krishna says, out of 1,000 who seek me, maybe only one really perceives me. And it's because we are not loving perfectly, because we are holding something back. If we were to love God perfectly, we will give Him everything that we have, inwardly and outwardly. So it means all out of those 1,000, we are still holding something back. We are still not like that tree that was able to give everything. And think of it, there's always something, a little habit here and there that we think harmless. We hold like, no, I don't want to give this away. That kind of music I still like to listen to, even though it makes me a little restless, it's okay. And you will see that only those who are able to give everything are able to receive everything. That we have to find God inwardly, and then so that we can serve Him outwardly through all humanity. And there is a saying that goes that God loves those who love Him. And it is not literally true, because God loves everybody equally. As Yogananda told Dr. Lewis once, that the same Father that loves me loves you equally. More or less something like that. But what the saying says is, those who are open to receive God's love, God can love them more because they can express that divine love more through them. And so it is, that really life is us giving ourselves so we can open ourselves to channel God's love. And then when we have that love, then we can learn to love everybody perfectly. Everything that we do is a good step towards that. But in the end, we had to find it within. But it will be selfish just to keep it for all of us, only for ourselves. We must share it with all. And that's how the greatest fulfillment that we can experience will come to us. Now I'll let Shamini speak.
Okay, so I'll just share briefly on the topic. When I was reading this topic, perfection is self-transcendence, I was like, my God, I don't even know what perfection is. How can I talk about this? And so I was just thinking about perfection and the word. And usually, generally speaking, people think of perfection from the outside. So we define it as, when I get this apartment, when I get that car, whatever it may be, when I get that perfect relationship with my sister, whatever, with my spouse, right? And we start from the outside. But pretty soon we start to realize that something isn't working, because no matter how much I try to fix this and this and this, there's always something else that doesn't work. And when we're trying to fix everything on the outside, we suffer. We suffer tremendously. Why? Because we're always thinking about ourselves. I want this. I want that. I don't want this. Why didn't they do that for me? Isn't it? We're always then caught in our little egoic trap. And we were talking about the workshop that we did. And we were painting with the kids, and I always love that experience of sitting there, and there's so much creativity in the room. And usually in the moment as a facilitator, you have to sit and be there for people. But at one point, everybody got very into their little art. So I said, okay, I can take a piece and start painting. And so I started my own little process, and suddenly I was like, I want blue. And I was reaching out for the blue, and another little kid was reaching for the same. And I was like, my blue, you see? And I was just like, small thing, but you see, like, all these little things add up, and immediately I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But it was just a realization of it's so much more interesting, so much better to give in those moments. Why those sessions are so enjoyable is it's an opportunity to come together where other people are getting to experience the joy of painting. And in that, you're getting to be a part of their joy. You're getting to add to that rather than it's not my own solitary art process, which I get to do at home, so to say. And so, coming back to this, when we suffer with the thought of, I want this, I want that, and suddenly we realize, no, something's not working. All these things that I'm setting my goal for, people who have it, people who have that perfect relationship, they have that apartment that I want, are they really happy? Are they truly happy in themselves? And before long, we start to break that code and say, no, there's something missing in this. And that's when we offer a prayer, perhaps. And then the response comes through a book, through a friend, through someone who brings you to a place. You get to experience something that's bigger than yourself, and you realize, wow, there's a whole potential inside me I haven't even been tapping into. I've just been caught in my limited reality and my limited definitions. And how do I begin to tap into that? And we realize, as Bara was saying, it is only through that joy of God, through a little bit of meditation that we start, a little bit of connecting within to forming that personal connection with the divine. Suddenly our lives become so much more fulfilling. And we realize, I'm happy. I'm starting to feel more happy than I've ever felt before. And from there we reach the next step of, this is a joy that I can share with others, that I know I can offer to people, and I can add this to people. I can add this in a workshop now when there are kids. It's not just about me and my art, you see, and it just becomes so much bigger than what we are stuck in. And, there's, again, when sometimes, of course, challenging situations come, like this reading was saying, and people may be difficult in our lives. We may go through tough situations, tough karma. And in those moments, how do we practice this? How do we practice having the courage to choose to live with God, to go through that with God, to put out enough energy that we can attract the divine to be with us through that? And for that, it can be challenging, it can be tough, but we have the example of Swami Kriyananda, for instance. He would say towards the end of his life or so, he would say, Swami Kriyananda is just an event for which I'm responsible. And isn't that so beautiful? He always looked at his life as this reading said, as an impersonal. He was just viewing it. He was always living in that light. He was never caught up in a lot of things. And he went through much suffering, people who were difficult, much persecution. But he always found a way in those, how can I give? How can I give that love to this person who's suffering? How can I give this kindness to this person who's being that way to me because they are suffering? It has nothing to do necessarily only with me. And the best part that we realize once we come onto this journey, when we start living from the inside, we realize that perfection that we're all seeking, that is all of our goal, that is all of our birthright, our future, our destiny. It doesn't have to be once I fix everything, once I fix each tendency in myself, then I'll be perfect. It doesn't work in a logical step-by-step way. You don't have to, strive for something unattainable. You just have to be the best person that you can be right now, the best version of yourself in this situation, which may be, like Swami Kriyananda, in this tough situation, it's coming to me, how can I love? How can I give to this situation rather than what am I taking? What am I getting? What's in it for me? And when we start to do that, we start to basically become a channel for the divine, that light of the divine that flows through us. And that's the only way we're able to achieve that transformation, that self-transcendence of the little self begins to disappear. And that light of the divine transforms us. And to end, I would request you, if you could close your eyes for a moment. I just want to read this prayer of Master from Whispers from Eternity, a very beautiful prayer. And it says, teach me to find happiness in the joy of others. O Mother Divine, teach me to love others and to serve them in thy name. Teach me to be true to my word, even as I want others to be true to theirs. Teach me to love others, even as I want them to love me. Teach me, O dearest Heavenly Mother, to make others happy and to make them smile. Teach me to find my happiness in the happiness of all. Om.